Hello, 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 everyone, and good evening. And welcome to another episode of this segment of Content Creators from the Brothers and Company podcast, where we showcase artists, poets, business professionals, podcasters, and much more here in Charleston, South Carolina, and beyond. My name is Chris Wynn. I'm one half of Brothers and Company podcast tonight. It is Tuesday, April the 16th, 2024. And tonight, I have a special guest and a great friend of mine and fellow poet in the Charleston community. And, and his name is Mr. Joey Tucker, better known as Mr. D. Enlightenment. He was born in a small town in Walterboro, South Carolina, grew up listening to his favorite hip hop artists, often writing raps of his own. His hip hop roots are evident in the poetry community, while enrolled in Presbyterian College. Mr. Enlightenment took a creative writing poetry class. It was at that time he put together his own collection of poems. After graduating, he wrote from time to time, but nothing serious. A breakup sparked his creativity once again. In 2009, he released his first chapbook, Wallets and Purses, released it. And also along with Light and a Poet's Playground. In 2023, he released his poetry book called Flickr. He also released two poetry CDs, Worth the Wait and Watts in 2015, in Summer Solstice in 2017. Mr. Delightman's name is a play on words streaming from his job as an educator. Also, he wanted to shine on stage while delivering his work. Mr. Lightman has performed at various venues in South Carolina and Georgia. And also, he has performed at my book release party last year for Colors in 2023, along with other great fellow poets. It was a great success and turnout. And Free First was definitely in the building to show me so much love, and he is one of them. All right, guys, I am so honored to have this man on this episode. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, show your love for the one and only Mr. Joy Tucker, better known as Mr. The Enlightenment.
What's going on? How y'all doing out there?
Good, good, good. I'm so glad and honored to have you on our show today, man. How you feeling?
Man, that's good, man. I'm trying to wrap up this school year and just promote myself and just interact with fellow artists and just try to make my mark out here.
That's what's up. That's what's up. You are most definitely making your mark in these streets as a poet, man. You are so well known, man. Well, can you tell me about yourself and who is Joy Tucker, better known as Mr. D Enlightenment?
Man, I'm just a nationalist, sports fan, elementary school teacher, just social butterfly. Fine. If I'm not doing some poetry, I'm out and about, just hanging out with friends, just enjoying life, man.
That's great, man. Oh, I bet to ask, who's your favorite team? Either football,
Uh,
basketball.
NFL, I am a Las Vegas Raiders fan.
That's what's up. Well, I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. My whole family loves the
All right.
Panthers.
I can get down with that.
Yeah, because we collect their merch and just everything they big on the Carolina Panthers. We're trying to win. We're trying to win a Super Bowl. So we've been close.
Everybody got those same goals, man.
Right. We've been close, but we just got to do better.
It's ups and downs, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, can you tell me how long have you been performing and writing poetry?
So my first open mic, like I know, I was posting poems on social media and stuff. Just um, I wrote, like I said, I was in college, put together some poems for a class, and along the way, me and a friend of mine, we're, just writing stuff and sharing it between each other. I was starting to post stuff online and getting pretty good feedback. Uh, just interacting on Facebook, and I met this guy who was also a poet. He wanted to he almost doing what Marcus is doing now in Charleston. He was doing that just all around. It wasn't like locally based. He was out of Philadelphia. Well, I think he went to college in college in Georgia or in the South for sure. And he ended up in Philadelphia, but he had a passion for poetry, you know, and he offered me a chance to kind of put together unofficial, it wasn't nothing with a barcode. It was just, put together some paper, staple it together, and you know, just grassroots, getting your work out there to the few supporters that you had at the time, and just build from there. So I did my first open mic in 2010. You
Wow,
know,
that's
so,
awesome. That's awesome.
I mean, I had my spurts, and I pretty much continued it. I had my more productive years in poetry, but I never stopped doing it.
Absolutely. Hey, don't ever stop doing poetry, man. Well, I started doing poetry. It started back in high school. I used to like write songs. I'm big into hip hop and R&B, and and I was like writing and singing in chorus. And then I'm like, oh, my songs can be turned into poetry. And then, like you said, I started writing poetry more. I went to Trident Tech in the early 2000s, and I took like a creative writing class, and I created my first chapbook, and it was like an awesome experience. I'm like, oh my god, I can write, and I've been getting like good grades on it. But
Yeah, man.
yeah, man, it's been awesome, and I also like started going to free verse as well after dealing with different situations during and after COVID. Just try to better myself as a person, and it's been very great. Like I really love performing and going to open mics just to get inspired by a lot of people. So most definitely. Yeah, so in your bio, but I wanted to ask, like you stated that hip hop has influenced your art of poetry. Can you tell me some of your favorite hip hop artists that has inspired your work and how they impacted your life?
Well, I grew up in South Carolina, but I listened to a lot of up north hip hop. Because New York was kind of the mecca of hip hop, and
Oh yeah.
especially when I was younger, we weren't. The Southern rappers weren't getting that much publicity. So we all were just New York. New York is what we kind of were influenced by, and I was a big Wu-Tang fan growing up, and Jay-Z is my favorite rapper of all time. So just I guess if you listen to it enough, I was just able to, put words together. Like I could just be creative and put a simile together that would just be clever and kind of have a little bit of humor with it too. So I don't know if I kind of credit, if you listen to lyricists, I think you start to become a lyricist. I think if whatever you kind of subliminally listen to or you exposed to, you kind of pick it up.
I must definitely tell you, I love New York hip hop as well. I do like West Coast hip hop, South hip hop. I like the old school hip hop, like Kid and Play, like house party movies. I think that's when I got really inspired to listen to hip hop, and then also going to parties as well. So most definitely, New York is in the house. That's what's all started.
Yeah, man. It's always like I would look at Rap City, the basement, that kind of kept me in the loop about what was going on. And when videos were like,
Oh
we kind of depended on videos to kind of see the artist. Now it's social media, but I had to you had to wait to see your favorite artist and you had to
it's
watch the videos and
oh yeah.
they came out with an album. You didn't get to see the behind the scenes in the studio. You just had to wait for that release date.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I miss the old BT days, man. Like, like you said, like Rap City and doing those ciphers, those freestyle battles and stuff. I truly miss that. It was the good old times. I wish we could go back in time and, relive those moments. But again, social media has really kind of taken over and it just changed everything from hip hop. Like I still collect CDs to this day. Like I don't like streaming and download to my phone because I still like collecting and looking at booklets and stuff and how to produce what producers is on the album and the lyrics and
Yeah,
stuff and
yeah.
records and stuff. You know what I mean?
When you bought that CD, you open it up and read the inside while you listen to it. So yeah, I
Abs-
remember that day. I remember them days.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I still do. And I have like a bunch of CDs in my room, so it's this a full stack of CDs, movies as well, video games as well. So absolutely, absolutely. So, we met at open mic nights at free verse events, created by, Mr. Marcus Amaker, who was our first poet laureate of Charleston. Shout out to Mr. Marcus Amaker. Um, you know, and then going to these events, he want us to perform in a safe space without any judgment. What can you tell me? What great advice has Mr. Marcus Amaker given to you that impacted your life as a poet, or any advice that he has given you?
He's very positive. Like he'll never be critical of your work. And I kind of take that same approach. You want to be positive about an upcoming artist or a new poet. You want to, you know, never kind of shut people down, you know, especially if they feel like they want to share their work with you. Because I guess if you're a veteran of that field, they want that mentorship. So he was always the positive guy and, and warm, inviting. Like he had events and he invited me out and he gave me opportunities to do my poetry with him. So, I just kind of take that same approach. Like I'm trying to share opportunities if I have them and, just not tear anybody down. Just, keep doing what you're doing. And, poetry is unique and that it's so many different styles and we're all adding something important to the community.
Absolutely, man. I can tell you definitely, Mr. Marcus Curry, he is such a positive, like you said, he is a positive poet here in the community of Charleston. Like I call him my big brother of poetry because I learned so much from this man. Like he actually helped me with the formatting for my book, and I've been like going back and forth with him. Like, I wanted to be perfect, and he was very patient of, helping me edit and having my book formatted correctly when I was having difficulties like trying to upload my manuscript online. So he definitely was very patient. Yeah, I'll also say like he gave me also advice as well. He told me like when you release your book, release your projects, do it when on your time. Don't do it when, people try to rush you and try to speed you up. Just do it in your own time when you're ready. Because I wanted to make sure my poem was ready and perfect and just, ready for the world to be ticking. So most definitely Marcus Emmerichs, he's such a wonderful mentor to everybody here in the community. So everybody could definitely learn from this man. So shout out to him.
Yeah, man. He's basically like Mr. Poetry for sure. Like he is like when you say poetry in Charleston, like he's one of the names that pops up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you do know that poetry is a great way to express yourself, like letting out all of your emotions, whether it's being happy, sad, and so on. What has poetry meant to you in your life that help you overcome obstacles in your life?
Uh, it definitely gives me a chance to kind of vent. I don't outwardly share my thoughts as much. I keep it pretty positive, but everybody goes through these moments when things aren't, you know, always going so well. So writing is always an outlet, and it's just been a thing that I've been doing, and a great way to meet more people, and just a conversation spark between artists. I like to go to those open mics and workshops and just, kind of share ideas with people and kind of see how somebody else might interpret something. So just those conversations and allow me to be creative and kind of push the envelope. Like I love how poetry is kind of like it allows you to be free. Like I'm not the most vocal person. I'm not the center of attention type of guy. But I feel like when poetry allowed me to kind of get my voice and kind of command the audience, even though I'm not always like that, I kind of like play the background. But when you're on stage and it's almost like you can have that other alter ego, like it's a little more uh stand out than my normal self.
Absolutely. I could definitely relate to, being on stage and bringing out your alter ego because I'm kind of different from, my personal life. I'm like more reserved, laid back. And then when you perform, you become this person that, motivating and so encouraging. So I definitely love it. It just brings out take me out my shell when I perform. So most definitely. And I would say, like, for me, when I write my poetry, I kind of write from personal life experiences. Wherever I'm dealing with, depression, happiness, and joy, I kind of write that down rather than just bashing somebody on social media. I'd rather just like write it down, go in a corner, and just express myself. Just it helps me. It helps me definitely better to get myself better in life. So most definitely, I can relate to that. Um, I was gonna ask you a question. So in your poetry performances, you are the man at crowd participations in your poetry performances. Like, you feed off the people's energy and you just motivate everybody. Like you always do the lights on, lights off. Uh, I just like that. So that's one of my favorite parts in your poetry, lights on, lights off. So do you think it's like important, very important to incorporate crowd participation in poetry pieces to make the audience feel one with your work?
I think it can help definitely. It kind of breaks the ice with you too. That's kind of get the nerves out because as much as you perform, you're still gonna be a little nervous when you still go up there for the first time, that night or that evening or whenever. So it gets and sometimes the crowd's not always into it. They might not know who you are. At that point they might came to see another poet. They didn't come to see you, or that kind of like sparks their attention, the way you present your work. So I think it definitely can help.
Absolutely. I kind of agree with that, man. Like, I would say when I go to my performances, like, I think my first open mic was a couple years ago at the Common House. I can remember it. It was like nighttime, and Marcus was hosting it. My lips were my lips was like, I was shaky dicky, man. I was like, I was doing ums and ahs, and just I was so nervous. But after a while, you just get better and better. Like I definitely love the crowd participation. Like especially, I'm learning from DL. Like he's good at just crowd participation. Like he'd been like shout out some words, like different subjects, and then he'd create poems like off the bat like that on the spot.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not ready to freestyle a poem like that yet. So
Well, I,
still
I did it.
nervous.
I did it before. It's not bad at all. I'm for my performance next month for the Charleston Arts Fest. I'm probably going to do some freestyling, so it is fun. I might just wrap off your stickers and your T-shirts and just create a poem, and everyone love it.
Hey, hey, man. It's like I said, man. There's always different ways to
Oh
go
yeah.
about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I'd be thinking like poetry, like you just have to rhyme and your poems got to make sense to the people, and but like you said, like poetry comes in so many art forms and different shades. Like poetry is just everything. So there's no right or wrong when you write and perform. So most definitely. Yeah, so I see that you put out your own poetry book called Flickr that I have, man. I definitely loved it. And I do love the picture illustrations with your poems. I'm definitely very proud of your publication, man. So I'm very proud. Thank you. Thank you for putting it out. Can you tell the
Appreciate,
people?
appreciate you checking it out.
Of course, man. Shout out to your peoples that definitely help put your poems together, and the whole publication and everything. Can you tell the people what your poetry book Flickr is about and what has inspired you to creating it?
So, kind of what sparked it is when I was just posting on social media, and I was, you get a certain amount of space, and when I was tweeting at its prime, you only had 140 characters. So I started doing like haiku, and then it kind of transformed into my own version of poetry where, it wasn't exactly counting syllables, but I would have a central thought and I would kind of try to pack it in a certain amount of lines. And then I kind of stumbled upon this genre online called micro poetry. So I started becoming pretty good at, saying a lot with those small amount of lines. And I just, kept putting, coming up with poems and writing down on paper. And I was just, having something to post. I would post a poem every few days or every day, and it started becoming something I do on Instagram and Twitter and getting good feedback. And it was a quick hitter. So, somebody is scrolling, they don't have the time, or maybe they don't plan on stopping and reading an entire longer poem. So they can, on your timeline, they'll see those 3 or 4 lines and be like, oh, that was pretty clever. Oh, I like that. Then they might share it or they might retweet it. They might, like it. So I started like kind of developing a knack for that. So I just had a bunch of short poems that I just compiled in a document. And I've also seen where people would put a picture to go along with it. So I was like, all right, well, I reached out to some art, art teacher friends of mine or just artist friends of mine and said, hey, I got some poems. Can you draw, a little sketch to go along with it? So, I sent them some poems, and, I kind of gave them a little direction, or I want them to be free with it, like whatever. You come up with something, I can kind of like, yeah, I like it, or no, I don't. So I feel like it was another way to add to the poetry. So you can put a little picture there to go along with it. So I decided to put it out and let's go with it, man. And it,
Absolutely.
and it makes sense because, it was all, I was thinking light, I got a lot of light theme poetry and just promotion. So I was thinking like it's a quick poem. So it's like a flicker of light, you know.
Right, absolutely. I definitely love the illustration, man. I'm with the same way with my poetry book that came out last year. Colors Can Overcome Levels of Real Stages. And I talked to one of my great designers, Mr. Chris Kendall, who created my, graphics. And I told him I want to have my pictures as the, the backdrop, as defining my emotions with the red that represents redemption, black color represents, darkness, dark days, like them dark times, and then the gold color represents, the good and inspiration in my life. So he definitely executed that, and the pictures go along with my poetry, and it definitely flowed very well. So I definitely appreciate the illustrations, your illustrations, and the people that behind it. Man, it's amazing, Bubba. Absolutely. So I would ask you, like, in the authors world, like book reviews from online can either make you or break you. Like, I don't know if you deal with it. Have you deal with any good or bad reviews about your book? And if so, do you feel book reviews can make a poet better, or can it make you intimidating?
That's something I always kind of struggle with, like criticism. So, I mean, a good review can be a good thing, and then a bad review can also take away from it. So, I don't want to force it, but I do kind of like, hey, if you like the poem, can you write a little bit about it? Just because um, a review can definitely help, the next person decide if they want to read it or they want to buy it. But I guess it's all kind of criticism if it's from a positive place. Like, some people just like tearing you down just because, if it's not for you, it's not for you. So why put all the effort into writing a negative review? So if somebody asks you to write a review, I think they respect your opinion enough. And like maybe it wasn't for you, but you can kind of pick out some positive things about it. So I feel like there's a way to give some criticisms or what you could do better, but that's a slippery slope. So uh, I haven't had any. Well, lately, I guess there's always somebody on social media that they don't understand your poem or they didn't understand one of my poems or I don't mind clarifying. Like I actually like when people ask me like, what did you mean by that? Or if they say some kind of smart remark, maybe a good conversation can come from it. So I think it's all about how you approach somebody with it and how it's done.
And I agree with you also with, people's opinions and reviews. Like when I put out my book on Amazon, I was so nervous too. Like I was like, I was waiting on somebody to, say something bad and tear me down to shreds. But, so far everyone has been loving it. It's
Yeah,
been
because you
all
gotta go. I mean, you gotta go out. I mean, a bad review, okay, if it's food, something that I feel like you took a chance. You always gonna take a chance. I'll take a chance on a movie that maybe I'm not familiar with the actress. I'll take a chance on it. So for me to go on and write a bad review and try to make you know, there's a way to do it. Like I feel like you got to go out your way to be negative about somebody's art. It's like, okay, it wasn't for me. I bought it. It wasn't my cup of tea. I feel like to write a negative review about it, it's kind of like unnecessary.
right.
Now, if somebody came to me and asked, I feel like, yeah, I can do a positive review, but I don't know. It's just not me. I'm not the type of person to go online and write a negative review about somebody's art. If it wasn't for me, it wasn't for me. I mean, there's some
I
people
agree.
that they do that. That's what they do. You get more traction from some being negative about something than being positive about it. But I guess if you want to, I haven't. I'm very strategic about who I do ask who I want to ask about the work. Because
Right.
sometimes you be careful what you get. You careful what you ask for because it can make a break you. Especially
Tell me.
if you're
Yeah.
going to a big name, if you decide to pay somebody that's a stranger that does reviews, you taking a chance that it might not be that great. So
Right. Right.
I guess I'm trying to be as organic as possible, man. So
That's what's up.
hopefully it lands in the hands of somebody that appreciated it and then they want to, share the good things about it.
Right. Absolutely. I'm the same way too, man. Like I don't take it as a bad experience, like, good or bad. But with reviews for me, I feel like it betters me as a poet. If something is bad, I can do better on the next poem and the next book that I put out. I feel is this criticism
And
is
the thing about this, like, what I'm not gonna change my whole style of poetry because one person said it wasn't good. Like that's
right,
art. That's like if I'm a painter or a sculptor and somebody doesn't like my painting, I'm not changing my whole style because of you. So you take it with a grain of salt, I think. Now maybe they could say maybe your your illustrations could have been done differently, or maybe you know your layout on the page. Okay, I could understand that. But if you didn't like my poem, I'm not changing the way I write. Like, and it's a hard thing as an artist. You're writing it for yourself most of the time. Sometimes you're writing it for the audience. So I don't want to get caught up in trying to please the audience so much. At the end of the day, if you think your poem is good, you need to put it out there because somebody is going to connect with it. And there's some people that's not. It's not for everybody. So I'm not the type of person. Yeah, I'm going to take your criticism if it's something that I don't know, if it's something that could help me as a writer, but I can't take the I didn't like it. Okay, you didn't like it. What I'm not going to change the way I write for a negative opinion of it. So that's just me. I don't think any artist should change, their core values to appease the audience. Because at the end of the day, you should write for yourself. Like we're not Drake out here. We're not trying to sell a million copies. So you're writing from a place like it's your story. I'm telling my story. I can't let nobody tell me that I'm not telling my story correctly. Like, no,
Right, right.
that's not going. I'm not going to change my style because one person doesn't like it. Because, like you said, you got your favorite artist, and you all about that favorite artist. And there's some people who don't like that favorite artist. I don't think that artist. I think the artist gets in trouble when they start changing themselves
Oh yeah,
for the audience to get more people supporting them. You kind of lose like what are you doing it for? You know what I mean? Like I like the art at its purest form. Everybody wants the applause, everybody wants to sell a bunch of copies, but at the end of the day, out you put it out like you were proud of something you put out. Like this was something that I thought was good. And at the end of the day, I think that's all we need.
I agree with you, man. Like, I wouldn't want to change my poetry for anybody because everybody's story is so unique, different. Because you don't know what that person go through, the next person go through. So why would we change it? So I
Exactly. And we
agree.
don't want
Yeah,
we don't want everybody's poem to be the sound the same. Like I love those free verse open mics. Like it's so many different styles.
me
You go
too.
to the open mic, there's so many different styles and all of it's good. Like I love poetry because there's no one way to do it. You can't tell me I'm doing it wrong. You can't tell me
Right.
I'm writing poetry wrong. Now there is a technical aspect, which I'm not the most technical poet. I'm sure there's line breaks. You got to do a line break here. Like I'm not so technical with that. But end of the day, it's no wrong way to do it. Like you can't do it wrong.
Not at all. Not at all. We are unique and different, especially with the slams. Like, I went to a slam last year. I participated in it, but I feel no one is different than the other person. Everybody is so unique, got their own style. Like, no,
Yeah, and that's a
I
big
know.
thing. Slam. I've never been a slam person because I don't want and people get caught up. I'm not gonna be correlating my poem to a score. Like I just never want to get caught up in that. I've been online. I know I follow a lot of poets online, and there's a lot of controversy about slam poetry right now, and just the
Yeah,
competitive nature, and it's like they kind of ruining the
the whole essence of what poetry
yeah,
is
yeah.
about.
Like, okay, I
Yeah,
get it. Trying to be the best, that's cool. Trying
right,
to be the best is cool, but slam's never been my thing. So I've always stayed away from slam. Like, nope, I'm not getting into a slam. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm gonna deliver my poem the way I want to, and I'm not. I don't get caught up in the slam. That's not my style.
right. I agree. It's not for me either, but it was a experience that I wanted to try out, and
Yeah, I mean, hey, I can't knock it. There's a lot of really good slam poets out there, and I've been to some slams. Like I've been to a popular slam that's called Southern Fried, and I heard about it, and I decided to go one year, and it was good. Like some really good poems, and I commend you for that. But and there's a way to do it too, and it's like again what we just talked about. You're you're writing, you're going into these slams with certain poems that you know going to resonate with the people. So it's almost like you're writing to win. So I don't know. That's not my thing. Like you do have to kind of. I did learn it. I don't know how you feel about it, but if you thought that, what's the thought process you go to when you're like, all right, what poem am I gonna read? Like, what poem am I going to choose? Like, we had the last time I saw you out at the free verse one, you could only do one poem. All right, so what do you what goes through your mind when you're like, I only got one poem to kind of get the crowd's attention. I got one poem. So what goes through your mind when you're trying to decide which poem I want to do? How do you decide what poems you're going to do?
Um, Man, for me, I just go how what the energy feels like. I just go with the flow. Like a lot of people like reading about love and happiness and joy, but I decide, you know what, I'm just gonna write something that's dark and just to get them on their toes so they can relate. I think one of them was about like a abusive relationship I've been in, and it was just about I'm no longer a victim, and it kind of resonate with the audience. I just go with the flow of how the audience is feeling. I try not to like read the same exact kind of not the same exact, but the same exact theme that everybody else is reading. I want to just do
All
something
right, yeah,
different.
you got to shake it up,
Yeah,
right?
you got to shake it up sometimes. But yeah, most definitely. That's my thought process of just going there, because when I be going to free verse, like the poetry events, I be thinking it's like therapy, because you be seeing how the seats, how the seating area is seated. It felt like going to therapy, and the audience is therapists, and they just listen to your work, and it is such a good feeling, man. Like it's not intimidating at all, you know and I just love it. Absolutely. So I want to ask you, like, for anyone that's listening out there, like, what type of advice would you like to give anyone that wants to start a journey as a poet, and what can they learn from it?
I would say just kind of be a sponge. When you start to go out and hearing poets, and you kind of take little pieces from other people, like, oh, I like the way she does that. I like the way he does that. So, try to, you still want to be original, but you can still take pieces of your favorite poets and kind of build your own style from that.
That's what's up. Okay, so it's since it's National Poetry Month, I hate to put you on the spot. uh, but you always deliver your poetry as always, man. So is there a poem in your heart that you would like to share any with all the listeners and fans out there that's gonna
Man,
resonate?
it's only right that I do my introduction poem. I like to start off every show with this poem. If I got multiple poems to share, I like to start off the night with this one because this is where it started. I think this is one of my first poems that I wrote to share out with people. This poem is called "Let There Be Light." I remember when mom used to call me home before the street lights came on. Now I feel at home on stage when the lights are on. Senior year undergrad, that's when the light came on. Time to illuminate. I write like I'm afraid of the dark. My pen is a light bulb, a match waiting for that spark. When I start to shine, I don't plan on flickering. My brain is a generator, ready to kick in like an NFL punter. Try to take my shine, I got enough radiance to go around. I'll even pass it out like free samples. Like the first attempts of Neanderthals trying to create fire, you probably fizz out before you replicate me. When someone closes the gap, it's time to increase the voltage, become more ultraviolet. For every sunrise, there's a sunset, but not if I can help it. Prepare for my summer solstice. Let there be light. Lights out.
Woo! Man, did you just say with closing the gap, your brain is generated? Oh my god, that's what's up. That's why I had you at my book release party. Like you deliver, man. As,
Appreciate that.
as
Appreciate that.
you are welcome, man. Woo, I wish you could do another poem, but kind of ran out of time. But I'm most definitely going to check out at more open mic events, man. You're a crowd pleaser as always.
Hey man, like I said, it didn't always start like this because like I said, I had to go through my moments where I was the nervous person, the person with the paper. I just kind of, I decided to like make it my goal. Now I do read off paper. It depends on what kind of setting. If I'm doing a poetry reading, an extended amount, I'm definitely gonna do some from memory, but I might pull out a couple poems that I want to read to the crowd. But if I'm out and about, I'm only doing one or two. I'm definitely trying to go from memory. Like that's
Right.
what I like. I think I can. I'm not good about reading from the paper and looking up, and I just it loses some of that, you know, the energy. It loses some energy to me because I gotta worry about where I'm at on the paper. So I like to do it from memory, and that way I can just, I like to move with the poem, and I want to be looking at. I want to be walking around a little bit. Sometimes I
Right.
don't want to stay in one spot. I'm I'm that one line. I'm looking at this person. I'm looking over here. You can pause. You can add that. You can the way you can enunciate certain words. Like when you got it from memory, I feel like you can do so much more with it. That's just me.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I agree with you, man. Like, I think like doing performing poetry out of memory is it feels so real. It feels so fluid. Like you just, it just feels a lot better, man. I tried like I still do read off paper, looking at the audience, look down, look at the audience. It's helpful for most people, but I felt like having a memory is a lot better. Um, it took me about almost a month to memorize a poem because I had to keep repeating words, repeat,
Yeah, it's a
repeat.
hard part. Like that, it's still for me. I gotta actually. I want to actually memorize a new poem, and it's tough, man. I realize you just gotta make yourself. I've started to record myself and then play it back over and over
Oh
again.
yeah, I've been
That's
doing that too.
that's how I remember. Like I remember, if I actually put my mind to it, you give me a week, and that's with other stuff going on. Like, give me a week, and then I'll have that poem pretty memorized. But the bad part is, if I don't do poems for a while, I'll still forget some of it.
Yeah.
But
Oh
then you go back through it, then it comes back kind of quickly. But I gotta start. It's a certain poem or two that's in my catalog that I think would be good when I do a show. And I was like, I want to add it. I want to give somebody another poem. I don't want them to be like, oh, I heard that already. Oh, I already heard that from you. I want to be able to give you at least one new poem that you didn't hear the last show. Even if my catalog is big enough that I can kind of switch them out, I want you to feel like you heard a different poem than the last time, or maybe it's a different order, or I took a poem out and then I put another poem in. So I feel like, especially if you're somebody that goes to all of my shows or to a lot of my shows, I want you to feel like, oh, I didn't hear that one, or I didn't remember that. I don't remember that one for last time. So that's my goal.
absolutely, absolutely, man. Um, where can people find you at? I know you got upcoming events coming up. Can you share that with any listeners listening out there? What you got going on?
And first of all, you can find me on Instagram at Kilowatt Poet, Facebook, Mr. Enlightenment. I dabble a little bit on TikTok at Kilowatt Poet. I got a poetry show coming up in May. May 17th is a Friday here in Charleston area, Mount Pleasant to be exact, at a place called Harb Call Brewery. It's in Mount Pleasant, so it's 7 to 9 on a Friday. So it's like about a month out. So it'll be me and a couple other my poet colleagues coming to share some poetry to the people.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. And I've been very honored to being a part of your Delight show last year. So most definitely, I definitely appreciate you having me on, man, along with the other fellow poets. Man, it's been so much fun, man, just to share the stage with you, and it's been great, man. I definitely appreciate it. Most definitely come out to the light show, everybody. It's amazing. Like most definitely, you will get inspired. um, Dang, I would like to thank you so much, man. Joy, for definitely being on this segment of Content Creators by the Brothers Company podcast. Um, It was a great show. I felt so inspired by your words of encouragement and motivation of your poetry. Man, you are truly, truly a gift from God, man, in this community. And I know the sky is the limit for you, man. Just keep going. Just keep doing what you do best, man. I just definitely love your work, man. Um, is there anything else you would like to say in the segment of content creators that you haven't really kind of spoken
Um,
about, or
nah,
any
man,
advice,
like
or
I said, I appreciate the opportunity, man. I like what y'all doing. Like I said, I didn't know how long y'all have been doing a podcast, and that's pretty impressive, man. Just to because a lot of people do a podcast, they do it for a little while, they stop. You gotta put a lot. It's a lot of dedication. Whatever you decide to do, that's why I say slow motion better than no
no
motion.
fin?
Don't stop. I had my moments where I didn't do poetry as much, but I literally, even if I wasn't sharing it, I was writing it from time to time or I was watching a video. So keep going. Whatever it is, keep going. Don't stop. It's going to get hard. You're going to feel like, you're not making much progress, but you definitely are. You definitely got more. If you look back at it, your journey, you farther along than you were when you started.
Absolutely, man. I definitely appreciate that, man. Because I tell everybody, like, if you have a goal, dream, and aspiration in life, just go for it. Don't hold yourself back.
I'm
Just
working on that, man, because I, I'm trying to deal with the fear of failure, and you're gonna have to take your losses too, man. But I'm not a fan of it, which nobody is. But to take that
no,
risk, some people
no.
some people like taking the risk, man. I'm a calculated guy, man.
Mhm.
I'm gonna take my baby steps. I don't really go out there and take that leap. I hadn't leapt yet. Like I'm taking my baby steps, right? I ain't take that jump yet. So I feel like I'm gonna have to do it at some point, but
Right, right.
uh,
Sir, failure is not an option with you, sir. You always succeeding. You're always doing great things. So I don't see failure in your eyes when you perform and seeing you about with, as an educator or anything, man. Like seriously, you is doing it. You is doing it.
we are always our own worst critic too. So that's the thing, man. Hope
Right.
Hey, I'm glad I make it look, like I got it together, but at the end, like, hey,
You do.
you dealing with your stuff, and you want to be, like I said, you want to be perfectionist, but you got to put it out there. How are people gonna feel about it? Are they gonna like it? Or people gonna show up at the show? I mean, that's like kind of nerve wracking, man. When you putting together your own show and you putting yourself out there, are people gonna show up, man? So that's what you got to deal with.
Absolutely, man. Most definitely. I definitely appreciate it, man. Well, thank you so much, man, for definitely being on this episode, man, and hope to see you doing big things, man. I'll be looking for you.
All right, man. Shout out to the enlightened, man. You are now enlightened.
Lights out.
So,
All right, guys. You have heard it here. Mr. Lightman has give us his encouraging words, his story, and his inspirations within his life and his heart, man. He's such an amazing dude, man. Just to wrap up, my name is Chris C. Lyric Wynn of the Brothers Company Podcast, presents content creators. You can definitely follow content creators, Brothers and Company Podcast at Facebook, Twitter, IG, TikTok, and on our website at brothersandcompanypodcast.com, where you can see the latest episodes, including this one here with Mr. Enlightenment on the website. We do have bios of me and Derek, one half of Brothers Company Podcast there, pictures, and along with our merch store right here
all right,
that
yeah,
Derek
yeah, got it out.
created, no Charleston, right here. And you can definitely purchase shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, and more definitely on our website. So definitely check out our merch store, guys. And again, we always say this on our show. I mean, Derek, we are free 99, guys. You ain't got to take out no loan, no mortgage, no payments to watch us, man. Like, why pay for, content? It's all free. So most definitely check us out,
I need to
guys.
go. I need to subscribe to y'all. I needed to subscribe to you on YouTube, man.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Most definitely. I can definitely share that link with you after the show is wrapped, and I could definitely, share that with you. All right. Okay, man, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys have a good night. Peace and one love.